The Camouflaged Heart is my story. This is a book that I wrote about my personal experiences with traumatic brain injury, PTSD, and trauma. It is based off of a presentation that I gave out at Fort Dix for the Warrior Transition Unit, which at the time was an Army medical hold unit. So the troops that were coming back from Iraq, if they had any medical or psychological or potential psychological issues, they were sent there for further evaluation and treatment. And I was there volunteering with a Vietnam Veterans Organization, and we would go each week to really support morale there. And I found that during that time, I really connected with the troops there in a way that was not, it really wasn't normal. If you're somebody who is in military or law enforcement, it can be often difficult for you guys to really connect and communicate with civilians. And I don't say that lightly. That is part of what I would hear back from the troops, both on Fort Dix, but also the troops that have come to see me, and the various veterans and law enforcement that have come to see me through my office. It's, it's just a different world. Civilians don't often understand what you guys have been through, but for whatever reason, my experiences gave me a very special insight, and many of the things that the troops were saying out at the WTU were how I was feeling, and it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me in the beginning, and I kept very quiet about my experiences until they finally started to question me. And I can remember sitting with a couple of them and them saying to me, "You're here every week. We're telling you all kinds of things we don't tell anybody else. Why? What do you know? What happened to you?" And I was real shy about it because I didn't see my experiences as being as big or as important as theirs. They were serving our country. What right did I have to be crying over my car accidents? But they taught me otherwise. And they taught me that my experiences did matter, but they continue to matter. And that you really can't go around comparing traumas, because not every soldier, not every Marine, not every airman is hurt on the ground. Not everyone is hurt in a battle. Not everyone is hurt in theater. Some troops were struggling because they got hurt here and didn't get to deploy. Some troops had injuries that had nothing to do with their service. Some were sick. There are so many different kinds of traumas, and we just can't get in the business of comparing one to the other. And they taught me that. And I had to really ponder my own situation and how I was managing it and dealing with it. And talking with them made me want to look more deeply into how they were being treated and what was being used to help them. And I did a lot of research, and I found that there were some different things going on in different parts of the country. And meditation and Reiki were some of those things, although it was in its infancy at the time. I think it's much bigger now. But this gives you better insight into why I do what I do and why the working of the brain is so important to me, and why PTSD is something that I will always continue to learn how to work with and deal with. And it's why I have created Peaceful Warriors. It was because of those troops that I created this. And I hope that you get something out of this. If you know someone who's been through trauma, this isn't just for military and law enforcement. It is for anybody who has been through trauma, civilian, military, or other. So I hope that there's something in here that you could take with you to help you. The book is on Amazon. I think it's also on Barnes & Noble. I'll put some links to it if you're interested in it. It's very easy reading. It was meant for people like myself and the troops at the base. It was written with us in mind. I had very little concentration, and reading was very hard for me for quite a long time, and still can be at times due to the injuries. But it's straight to the point. It's not flowery. It gets right down to the meat of what I went through and how I learned to deal with it. So I hope that it's able to help you or somebody you know too.